up on this first point. So that's something I'm interested about. But also Rise Nation, we saw them recently at the Cyberpower Invitational, and they seem to be improving a little bit. I think they got fourth in that one. They lost out to C9 in the third place match.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I casted that or anything.
So tell me about it. Tell us what we saw from Rise Nation in that tournament.
Well, Rise is a team that I think is very consistently good with Retzi and Faz. They remind me of some of the other teams where you know what you're going to get from one of the two guys. They're very consistent. So there are some question marks, though, when you get to beyond that. And I think the last time we saw them play very well, it was when Spirit was having one of his better games. Spirit has been up and down. They've run some Reaper, even on this map before, which is Spirit's one of his best heroes. But I think they're going to need to continue to get the performance out of him if they want to do well. Because, like I said, you always know what you're going to get from Retzi. You generally know what you're going to get from some of the other guys, but Spirit can be the X factor.
All right, well, let's see how this all turns out here. I'm very interested to see what Casper starts with, because it's the same as Gibraltar. He started with a Hanzo as a quick Sonic Arrow, and then he was straight into that Widow. And this would make sense. I think they kind of actually have taken that original Misfits composition, which is now being, put through a few different permutations over in Korea, and they've changed it a fair bit. But when we first saw it way back, and it completely shocked us. I mean, we were at that event, Hex. That was really sick to see.
Yeah.
Let's see what Casper goes for, though. That's the question.
Well, it's also a map where you can just straight up run the Hanzo, too. You don't necessarily have to switch, but he will switch right away. That Sonic Arrow comes off and does not go to the Widow, actually. Goes to the Soldier 76 instead. So triple DPS dive composition coming in, and Rise is running a much more tank-heavy. Triple tank on the ground.
Yeah, they're still backing away into the corner, though, and this actually sets up for a decent dive in, but JKW gets taken down by Retzi right at the start of the fight. That's going to really hurt in the morning. Cozzy, as he often does, gets a kill off the backside of the fight there, but Spirit found two, and most importantly, he found Beast Halo as soon as he jumped into that fight. There's nothing that Winston could do, and that's always the risk you face going up against a Roadhog in the back line of a defending team. You really need to make sure you don't get hooked and taken down immediately.
Yeah, and now they lose Dream Casper right away from Faz, actually. The Lucio with the kill feed right there, and Faz says he's going to put that in his next montage. Faz did release a montage the other day. I know ZP hates montages, I understand why, but I do like me a good frag video.
Yeah, that was not too bad. I mean, Spirit there as well got a late hook in that fight against Tick, so that slows things up even more on the side of tempo. I think Spirit's a player to be watching here as well. This Roadhog role is actually instrumental in terms of picking off these divers. You get that 65 and you're looking very, very good. And you can see yet again, we have a bit of movement towards the upside of the map here, and Tempo just trying to gain some position. But look at the engagement coming out. That's really nice. Faz is going to propel Spirit forward with the speed boost here. A good response with that Winston bubble coming in, but Locke gets blown up. Too easy comes in towards Retzi here. And despite trying to take matters into their own hands, it hasn't quite worked out for Rise.
The theory was extremely sound, because when I saw that they were rotating their soldier up top, that was Casper up top, I realized that Rise had no one who was going to be able to go get them. And they realized that too, so they just pushed forward through the ground. By all rights, they should have taken that fight. It was really a 6v4 when they chose to engage, unable to finish it off. The alts did come out from Tempo Storm, able to clean that up, and they still have alts to ride the momentum here, only had to burn that Transcendence.
Yeah, there's that hook though. That's going to slow things down a little bit more. Notice that Midnight does have a Graviton available if needed, but it won't be required as Casper got hooked so early in that fight. Spirit's done a good job. Now as well, this kind of tanky team may want to hold up fairly close to the choke. They do have the Reinhardt of Desro here to give them that shielding. They've got some sick ultimates to combine. You've got Earth Shatter, you've got Graviton. That's called Shock and Awe, my friends.
The Graviton, of course, is going to be the ultimate that we want to watch going forward in this next fight, but you're right, this is great. The Grab does grab 3 post-Sound Barrier. 2 kills come out from Tempo Storm right away, though no cleanup in that Sound Barrier.
Casper kind of coming with attack buzzer now as well. After the Graviton subsided, the follow-up was non-existent. Really nicely done here, and it's going to be Tempo to move forward just that little bit more. And I think, Faz was actually one of the only real players following up damage in towards that Graviton, and that didn't really amount to too much ultimately there. So, not good. You burned an Earth Shatter on a Graviton in that fight, and you've lost it pretty damn hard.
I think that you were right, that they should have been holding a little closer to choke. What Dive likes is wide open areas to abuse the mobility of the heroes that they have. What the tanks like is making people come into the death ball that you're rolling with the bank, and just giving them the 10 feet of entry through that archway was very likely a mistake.
Yeah, really got to play around the physical features of the map here, and that wasn't what we saw at all there from Rise Nation. They were punished badly. Spirit finds Too Easy again. Always with that opening kill. You can see another hook there on towards Tig. That's so sick. 2 for him. He found the 2 most important targets here, and that's not exactly something that you see teams do that makes them very cohesive as a unit. It's just an individual performance, and if you can rely on that as Rise Nation in times like that, all power to you.
despite losing these couple fights, things so far, just based on how they're playing, look good for Rise Nation, because I mentioned that Spirit can be that X factor, and he's been popping off. He's been getting all of the kills that they need. He's been getting them at the right times for Rise Nation too. Now they're going to have a lot of their ultimates up. The two giant tank ultimates are not. Beast Halo jumps in early, no follow-up just yet. Tig goes down on the backline too, and they're going to boost Retzi. Retzi with the visor out will get 3.
Yeah, that was nicely done. Good response. See, Beast Halo has to put his shield down as soon as he dives because of the presence of that enemy Roadhog. So, you can time that pretty comfortably with your Retzi. It's the only shield on the enemy team, and you know it has to be dropped as soon as Halo dives in, otherwise he's going to get insta-killed by the Roadhog. Wait it out, then get easy kills with that attack visor around the side, and that's a pretty easy response here for Rise Nation.
It's just a really good composition, I think, against dive comp. As you mentioned, the lack of shields, and then just having the Roadhog being able to babysit the supports. Faz doesn't really need it because he's on Lucio, but Locke has been safe most of this game, and a lot of it is because they're watching him with the tanks. Again, the entry kill comes off really early. They have to back out.
Yeah, Beast Halo went in first, but there wasn't follow-up there. He had to drop the bubble immediately. That was broken in a matter of seconds. And Rise Nation had the damage output, especially with Spirit up close to that shield, just to pop it immediately here. There's not much protection, and it really needs to be an all-in dive from Tempo Storm or nothing. It can't just be Beast Halo. It's not going to work.
That's nice for them to be able to take out Faz, because that's a big part of their healing.
Yeah, Graviton going to come in though as well. JKW and Kozi caught up in it, but it's going to be the Transcendence used. It was a late biotic grenade, so JKW is not going to be punished by that one there. Nice turnaround by Tig. He gets a swift strike through there, and Desro also going to fall. Again, the second Graviton consecutively that has no value because the follow-up is not present. This time, it was just a biotic grenade on top of it.
Yeah, it's just seconds off. You're absolutely right, because you think that's a perfect counter to the Transcend. It's almost 3 dominoes there. Can we grab the Zen? Can we get the bionic ult into it if he transcends? And just all those pieces did not come together. Now, an Earth Shatter is going to be available to them as well. It's one of the advantages of the tank-heavy compositions. You have these giant ultimates, but so far they've not found pay dirt with them. A nice bubble will save Desro's life as he got stuck.
Yeah, he goes for the Earth Shatter now as well, but he turns straight into the back lines there. That was clever from him. He knew that there was the Genji hiding behind, and even though the Earth Shatter didn't really catch on to Tig the way I would have liked, they managed to pick him up anyway. It was a nice little turnaround there. Actually, no, it did. It actually knocked him down, even though he was behind Desert at the time, because he got shattered in midair. That's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, Shatters can be interesting, to say the least. Spirit going down early here as they try to get aggressive, but they do end up boosting Retzi again with the visor, trying to go in, does not get anything, forces his sound barrier out, and that's going to be the switch to flip for Tempo as they come in and get 4 kills on the backswing.
Really nice. Retzi had his tack visor there, but he immediately had to retreat because Tig was running straight into his team. No value out of that Soldier 76 ultimate whatsoever, which has been the ace in the hole here for Rise Nation after that first bubble does get popped. So too easy on this Roadhog. I'd like the change. It's going to work pretty well now. It's going to help to get those picks, and he's definitely a player you'd consider almost a specialist.
A low economy fight incoming, but you have to give the advantage to Rise Nation because they have the sound barrier. It does get Desro into the barrier as he was hooked. He does get charged out and killed. Still, they do trade back-to-back 1v1. Tempo's still in this, though, as they've gotten the better end of it.
Yeah, I mean, Casper doesn't get so much value from his tack visor up on high. He actually gets more damage done after the fact there. It was good response from Rise to actually take cover when they had to, and now Tig's going to get himself the nano boost, but actually no drag blade here, so just going to go with the shurikens. Desro slaps it down. Too easy gets up, then gets the heck back down. Nicely done with that Earth Shatter. Desro, good play there. It was required, and I managed to win out the fight for Rise.
An ambitious ultimate there, and I think you can almost justify it based on the fact that Desro had to use the Earth Shatter just to make sure they won that fight, but they only had 2 in there when the boost came on. A lot of faith put into Tig to get the Dragon Blade during that engagement. He was unable to do so, but we'll have it up for the next one. Low economy as it's been, Rise will have nothing. This should be a fight. It's going to be the last one that Tempo Storm can win.
Dragon Blade fatigue though coming in. He doesn't have a nano boost this time, but it may not matter. He's on to lock, but he slips straight away. Retzi then just gets the dirty work done and puts the Genji out of his misery. But in the meantime, Beast Halo again seems to be almost a stronger Reinhardt now. After switching off that Winston, he's had great success, and that was a fire strike to catch out his opposite number. Now they're all over the point. Sleep on the Beast Halo. Faz now is bio-grenaded. There's no chance of surviving that one, and that's going to be it. In overtime, it is the completed push by Tempo Storm.
Well, I mean, you're just in Australia. You're always out in the bush anyway, right? That's why it's just so prevalent in your mind. Straight out of the kangaroo patch.
That's why, bro. That's exactly why, yeah.
Flame. Slasher, what'd you guys see?
I mean, I thought that Tempo was going to have problems running the dive comp, especially through points 2 and 3, and they did. Rise was playing pretty well. They finally Tempo switches it up and puts 2 easy on Hog. They switch to Ryan. They cap point. On the flip side, Rise ends up going triple DPS defense with Ryan at the end, and just kind of gives it to Tempo to run over them. Good switches up from Tempo. Do not like that final defense from Rise.
There was a lot of really small plays that wound up deciding a lot of points. Like, I think when they were trying to take first point, what happened was Spirit actually hit a hook onto Cozy, but Tig wound up reflecting the left click that would have killed the Zenyatta, and they wound up just snowballing that fight off like a really big pulse bomb from Too Easy. And then second point, they actually should have gotten stuffed, but Faz wound up dying to JKW somehow, and they just didn't have sound barrier for that engagement where they capped second. And then third point, I want to say Too Easy got a huge hook onto the Roadhog on the high ground, and then wound up like they just got the cart all the way at the end almost. So there were a lot of really small, unforced mistakes, I would say, from the side of Rise that wound up leading to them getting the map finished on them. So I'm not sure how much of it was like, I feel like Tempo got away with murder here. Yeah. And they really opened up a lot of really small openings.
Especially that engagement 6-on-4 when Tracer and Soldier come around high ground, especially as you said, Too Easy gets a pick, they get a deflect. That should be a wipe from Rise there. They should not be losing that 6-1 frags.
Well, we're going to be jumping now into the second half, and on the attack, it is going to be Rise Nation here. Retzi for a moment teased the Widowmaker, but it's going to be the Soldier 76, so fairly standard composition, very standard Rise Nation almost, I feel. It's going to be Spirit and Desiree up on those tanks, and also Midnight. So triple tank to come in, and Retzi getting wrecked immediately. That's not good. And now Beast Taylor wants to make it even more painful. This forces Desiree just to charge straight on out.
A little bit gambling there. I mean, you should be happy with the one pick. They got themselves in position where a couple of them almost died, but Tempo's going to get back and recalculates. However, though, Retzi thinking better does go to the Widow now as a switch up finds Dream Casper. It's a lot of damage gone for Tempo.
Yeah, he knew that Casper was up on the top right on his own. He actually had no protection here. Now, Retzi might fall to Too Easy. Too Easy trying to get aggressive. Retzi gets a bionic grenade. Good timing, but Too Easy forced to rewind and try and challenge him out there. Retzi's going to be busy for a while, so we'll have to check back in with him and see how he's going, but Beast Halo jumps into the backline. Unfortunately, all he finds is Desiree and Spirit. Two big tanks. Spirit takes him down, but Beast Halo at least finds Desiree. There's a trade there with Kozi taking down Locke. That's a huge advantage for Tempo Storm winning that support battle out. Spirit eventually is felled. Retzi can't find too much damage now as the fight had sort of retreated away from open areas, and Tempo can actually sit back again.
Too Easy won a 2v1 without anyone dying, and what I mean by that is he kept Retzi so busy and Locke so afraid that they were unable to engage with the rest of their team. So essentially he's giving his team the kills that they need by just completely negating the Ana, completely negating the Widow back there, and staying alive during all of it. It's a great play from Too Easy.
That's so sick. He really kept Locke very busy, even just trying to keep Retzi alive, actually. So Retzi goes to the Tracer. He's like, nah, stuff me, so I'm going to try and go head-to-head now in this battle. Midnight goes low. Casper picks him off, but most of the damage was done by Tig diving in. Spirit at least gets on towards Cozy. He's very deep in the backline, and this has caused Tig to have to come back and try and help. But it doesn't work out. Retzi's also there. He takes down the Genji. Desiree leaps onto the point. That's where Too Easy falls down. Baz actually got the headshot in there, and this is much nicer here as well. This is turning out really, really well here for Rise. They actually managed to split up Tempo very heavily, push him very deep, and obviously Tig couldn't do much about that. He got jumped upon very quickly by Retzi.
So Rise has switched themselves into this kind of halfway dive-ish composition as Spirit and Retzi both want to Genji and then Tracer, but they're not running a Zen with it, which could make things difficult. Maybe Locke will switch after the boost comes in. So they go to a very standard 2-2-2 and find some success with it. Retzi gets leapt on early though, and that might signal the go switch for Tempo to push this forward.
Yeah, Tig's going to jump on it with Desiree there as well, and he's just not going to be able to do too much at all. Because he's going to go with the Transcendence, and this could mean that Spirit's Dragonblade could be wasted. Great bionic grenade onto JKW. That at least allows one kill to be gotten by Spirit's Dragonblade, and then he finds Tig all on his own after the fact. That Transcendence didn't do nearly enough, but that's Beast. Locke and Spirit are both on the payload. They literally walked straight into the Tesla cannon. It was too easy.
Another example of them getting away with murder. Casper was slept on the ground waiting for his executioner to come by, and Rise couldn't do it. Beast Halo then gets 3 kills on the flip, and again, some of these moments just look like Rise is not aware of what's going on, and now they're damn near getting spawn capped.
Yeah, it's not working out well. Desbro got picked off, just pulse bomb. I mean, that's so much value in that, staggering your enemy when you're in this position, especially if you have that one there. Let's see what Midnight can do though. This Graviton really needs to be effective, but he needs to get his enemies all drawn up together. He's pretty well charged up. He's going to come in with about 65 energy, but when does he drop a Graviton? He tries to get Beast Halo at the very least. A couple more players caught up in it, but a sound barrier comes out. Immediate response here.
I guess it shows you just what kind of game that Beast Halo's been having, is because they solo Graviton him. He's the only one even in the vicinity of that cart. They end up getting a couple kills, and the good thing for them actually is that Casper burned out his ult, so they're going to be going into the next fight with a bit of an economic advantage. It's still a very interesting composition. I just don't know if Locke is very comfortable on the Zenyatta. His Ana has been solid for Rise throughout their history, but now going to run... Now going to run triple DPS with the Ana instead. It's something that you don't often see.
Yeah, okay, we'll see if this gets punished. There's no Roadhog on the side of Tempo here as well, and Tig's going to go in. Sound barrier immediately drawn out, and Cozzy's going to come over the top and try and keep his Winston alive, mostly. Spirit gets 2 kills in the fight. He's just dashing through. He's finding so many low-health targets here in the backside. Cozzy and JKW arguably were a little bit out of position, to be fair, and he was able to leap upon them. There was no protection for them. And Midnight finds Dream Casper. So this dive-heavy composition's working out fairly nicely now. And yeah, Beast Taylor was caught well out of position.
He was back at first point for whatever reason. Way back there, Retzi will get on the cleanup crew. But now it's going to be so difficult for them to engage in this. And they really just can't. They can't engage this composition without a single tank of their own. So Too Easy still remaining on the Tracer. The duel between him and Retzi has been an epic one thus far. He's got a Pulse Bomb ready. And Casper doing a lot of work here. But they have to wait for Beast Taylor to get in here. That Pulse Bomb takes out Midnight.
Perfect, and a great start as well. But you can see there's not a lot of follow-up. Too Easy just went in sort of deep on his own, and now he's still on his own. He has to blink backwards out of the fight. Finally, Beast Taylor gets there. But all the pick really does is just delay this potential fight. Now with Retzi going down, this might actually be a proper full-blown fight, and this is where Rise actually feel like they had to invest some resources here. I don't know if I agree with this. Primal Rage coming out from Desro in like a 4v6, trying to keep it going, at least it stalls up and keeps momentum going, and that may well be helping out here for Midnight, especially as he gets that Nano Visor. 2 quick kills. There was no way that Tempo was going to be ready for that, especially with Beast Halo having been fallen. There was no other shielding.
I agree with you. I was a little worried about Desro early on popping that Primal Rage, but I think they knew they were going to be able to get the reinforcements, and the percentages they were at, they wanted to keep that fight going and keep it as sloppy as possible. A couple DPS ultimates still remain for Rise, as they've got both Genji and Tracer at the ready to do some work. Here comes a Blade from Spirit.
Halo shuts him down. He just landed on top of me. That's so filthy. He was very low, to be fair, at the start of that one here, and this is where Tempo actually might be able to get a little bit of a foothold. Faz goes down and off the edge as well. He's done with this one, and they're going to be able to push back on that. That was looking very dangerous. This has been a game so far that Tempo have had control of. They had a really good first point hold. Their second point wasn't too bad. They cannot afford to let it slip here. And you can see there's a couple changes here on the side of Rise. Retzi switching it up a little bit, not sure what they want him to play. 76 seems to be the decision.
Yeah, a lot of switches going through there, and it was the right time to switch because they just threw all their ults at it anyway. They're going to be behind this next fight. The best thing they can hope for is a junk rush or misuse ultimate. Sound barrier comes down on both sides.
Yeah, Faz getting taken out early by the Pulse Bomb is a very good start for Too Easy. That sound barrier is going to tick down, and then Rise Nation are going to be in deep trouble, and they are. Tig finds Lock, and Beast Halo jumps into the back with the last tick of Primal Rage, and he just does so much disruption. The late bubble in the fight really being quite beneficial, and Midnight knows he needs to feed himself to the Beast to get back in time.
Really bad for them because they traded sound barriers right off the bat in a fight that's supposed to be somewhat even by trading those barriers, and you lose everything. However, I did mention it should have been a junk rush for them, and despite using the sound barrier, which maybe they'd like to have back, they did make Tempo Storm use absolutely everything.
Yeah, and that's big. That early pick on Cozzy by Spirit, he was up on the high ground, far too overconfident there in that position with Zenyatta. Very dangerous. And you see now what the result of that is. Desro gets a charge on Too Easy of all people. Charging Traces is the most satisfying thing as that Reinhardt. And Casper has to throw himself at this payload now as well, just to try and keep it going, because there's a big advantage here for all Rise Nation. They're moving forward pretty comfortably. Casper gets out alive. Shouldn't probably really ever happen, but now the re-engage comes in. Beast is in.
And the fact that Beast lived even as long as he did was brutal there, and they're going to pop the Transcendence post that, and so does come the Visor as well. So despite Beast going in early, he pushed them back enough to cause some chaos in their back lines. They felt it was the right time to invest. Next fight, you got to put it all out on the table, and it's going to be a couple of giant ultimates for Rise Nation, but only 10 seconds left. It's going to be tough for them to even really get in the proper position. Desert might have to charge onto this card.
Payload. Yeah, he's got to go. He's got to Earth Shadow, and it's blocked out. Beast Halo just switched towards Reinhardt. It's worked perfectly. He counters out the ultimate that was in advantage for Rise Nation. Now on towards the point they go, though. Spirit at least actually had a whole hog, and this is turning around. Cossack falling. They're going to get towards that yellow square of victory. You can see a little bit of fancy footwork by JKW to try and get himself up and on this point. But Beast Taylor comes in too late. He was out of position. Tig's going to try and go with the Dragon Blade, but he's forced to reflect immediately.
Very late sound barrier as Desro just sweeps the street with that hammer. Everyone's out of position, and both teams finish out Kings Row here in overtime. A minute on the clock as we go do it again.
Score 3.
What a bizarre ending to that map.
Sides.
That might actually have been the most ridiculous last 2 minutes of any Kings Row match I've ever seen.
Of course, I wouldn't have thought it, given by your tone, Matt. Tell me why.
They're just like... you could tell at the end, so they wound up popping trans, I think, Tempo did, to stall the point out. And then they go for this really aggressive spawn camp. But somehow, 3 of their players get stuck in the enemy spawn while 5 people from Rise wind up backcapping the cart. They try to pinch them. They take a really good fight. They pop trans to keep Too Easy up. But then Retzi winds up suiciding his Tracer onto the cart. And then they still had 3 people behind them when they were capping. The positioning was just so bizarre from the side of Tempo. I felt like their heroes weren't the ones that you want to be on the wrong side of the payload. Even at the end there, you saw Dreamcasper popping his tac visor from like behind the cart. Like, why was he there?
And not even bothering to shoot because there was a Reinhardt shield there.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, that was very chaotic.
They had the ult advantage. They made the correct switch to Rhine to even try to block the Earth Shatter, and that went well, and then it all falls apart. They die one by one. Only reason we're going overtime.
And maybe we shouldn't be here, but it is as it is. And it's interesting because both teams have 1 minute here. So this really could go either way, Hex. I'm interested to see how it turns out. On the defensive side, though, really a very standard Rise Nation comp.
Yeah, they're going to be relying on Spirit to just shut down the dive. And in this situation, you tend to favor the dive as they might be able to get 2 fights, but they're kind of just taking a slow angle. They want to get Casper up over the top because, again, Rise doesn't really have anyone to be able to contest him once he takes this window. He's up there with Tracer already. Dodges the hook. Now he's in a great spot. He can just pepper them down from the high ground.
And you get the Rise, they've done a do-si-do. They've just done a bit of a bait and switch now. They're the ones that have to come and try and defend this point. And I think they got outmaneuvered big time, especially with the pressure of Too Easy behind them. They move forward to the statue, and that really may well prove to be their undoing. Too Easy did so much purely by being there. And Rise wanted to go for another aggressive defensive engage, which they also tried last time, Hex, and it also proved to be their undoing.
Well, we do have a pause here as Spirit did DC. Maybe that is part of it. However, I just think that they're not positioned correctly because Tempo Storm has shown time and time again that they want to rotate around. They want to rotate around to the top and get Casper in that top position. And they don't have anyone to get up there. They don't have any vertical mobility to be able to deal with him up there. They're not running a Winston Diva. Absolutely nothing. So you have to put Retzi up there and a tank up there beforehand and just deny him from getting the position he wants. They didn't do it, so they didn't change their plan from the first stage to this stage. So yeah, that's exactly what they should have expected, and that's what was the death of them.
Yeah, don't know why they even went for that aggressive positioning towards a statue, but they did it and it ended up being their undoing. Now we're in overtime though here, and actually it's going to be ultimates up first for Tempo. They did all the damage in that last fight, so they can actually make a decent amount of progress if they don't mess up. Beast Taylor's trying to hold in the corner, and Tig's being heavily aggressed on here by Midnight, who's managed to stay healthy this whole time. Pulse Bomb comes in, finds nothing. Retzi though the first, he's got great positioning, and so does Casper though, even better. He's up on high, and he still gets cut down. Retzi stamps his approval and his authority over on that payload with 3 or 4 quick kills to end it. But still, they lost that first point, that first fight, that could really hurt Rise.
They really only get 1 shot at it. A minute on King's Row is nothing. If that first fight goes bad and goes long bad, that's it. They're going to lose this map.
Rise started out with 2-2-2 on their first run of offense, then they switched into triple DPS later. Seemed to go better. Tend to wonder if Rise is going to maybe start off that way instead of tank heavy.
I want to see a May. That's my analysis for this next point. They're not going to do it, but this is like the time where you bust it out, hold the door with the Blizzard.
May
and go for it.
has always worked so well on King's Row. It throws teams off guard, and I agree with you. This would be...
It's just that archway. Like,
time.
they have to get through that archway, just put up a wall. Just build a wall, you know? Classic NA Overwatch.
Well, not really my area of expertise there, but I mean, it's pretty hard to say. We used to see that May installing straight on defense all the time, actually, on this map. It definitely was pretty effective. But no, you're right. We're not going to see that. On defense, it is going to be the triple DPS with the Winston. So again, we might actually see Tempo put in a position where they have to dive. But I just think their positional awareness or knowing how to set up on the attack at least has been really smart. And I think that's going to translate onto sort of where to place himself on defense. You can already see they've got a lot of players up on the high ground.
It worries me for Rise because I think that Tempo is probably a little more seasoned in this dive composition, so the counter dive might end up hurting them. I think a lot of it is going to come down to they will counter dive and can lock hit a sleep dart when they counter dive to keep his team up.
Well, that's the big question. I don't know. To be fair, he struggled a little bit in this match so far, but now we have players up on the point. They're going to allow Desro just to dip his feet in, but look at that. Too easy finds Midnight straight away. This guy's a beast. He's doing so well. He just turned this one on its head. Both rounds, he's been the instigator in situations that Tempo have been able to make their own. They win the first fight. That's disgusting. Nice way to dive, and I agree with you, Hex. They really seem to have the idea of playing aggressive on both sides of the map down pat.
Yeah, they looked very much more practiced in the dive. The good thing for Rise Nation is that they got killed very quickly, so they still have a chance. I mean, that's the silver lining here.
Yeah, rough stuff. 13 seconds left, 12 now. Too Easy's going to have a pulse bomb. This could just win the game right here, or at least the map, should I say. Oh, he just drops it on the ground. Okay, Too Easy lets me down just when I need him to succeed, but now it's going to be 2 for 1. So, yeah, look at this. It is pretty comfortable. 5 versus 3 fight right now here for Tempo Storm, and Desro, Spirit, Retzi already going down. How convincing could you possibly be? Perfectly executed aggression coming out from Tempo Storm and a well-deserved first map.
You know, the switch for Rise to play dive from the second and third point did go rather well, but you know Tempo is running dive defense. You know that they're going to pretty much be running the same comp throughout all of the maps besides maybe 1 or 2 changes here on defense. Why not put Spirit on Hog, bait in the Winston bubble, try to get an early pick, and to push their way through, especially on this map and how good of a Zarya that Midnight is. I tend to feel like I would have rather seen them come out with that than to just try to play a dive versus dive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they kind of let themselves go. I don't even think it should have... I mean, based on our expectations, I don't think that this map should have been so close, let alone tempo-sided. So I feel like they kind of nipped themselves in the butt when they didn't hold them on defense, which I do think was like completely possible. It is weird though that they would try to go dive versus dive. I mean, Too Easy had a really good game. I mean, you called out his pulse bomb at the end there, but he wound up baiting like 4 people onto him, and he got the health pack, and they wound up just cleaning up after everyone tried to unload on him. So it's, I don't know. I would have rather again seen maybe like the Widow come out from Retzi, or even like some Hanzo shenanigans just to get a pick or two. You can't. It's King's Row. You just need like 1 or 2 kills, and you can snowball pretty quick.
It's like Too Easy was being the Winston, in that situation. He baited this aggression by moving up to the statue, and sure, he flopped the pulse bomb, but then he steals the health pack inside the statue and then dashes back, and that's provoked this massive engagement from the side of Rise Nation, and then the Winston jumps in, and then the Genji jumps in the side of Tempo Storm, and they've already got 2 or 3 kills in the fight. It's just Too Easy's so good at baiting movements. He did it on the attacking side by getting up behind them inside the Alderworth Hotel. They all just walked out of the statue and died.
They don't care.
He was just
why they're good.
Yeah, he was ultra annoying, and the fact that 3 people went to kill a Tracer in the closet just shows you how much Too Easy had been brutalizing them. That your Anna's probably just screaming, "Tracer, Tracer! I'm tired of her back here." And then that bait when he went to the small pack, he gave his life for it, but everyone else died all around him.
It's worth noting this is Too Easy's first AMM tournament with low ping, because he is in the Tempo House in North America. He played every other tournament with FaZe, among others. Over in Europe with high ping, he gets to feel what it's like to have 20, 30 ping and play as Tracer. Really, the most concerning thing for Rise is that was their map pick. That was the best payload map to play against a dive-heavy team. And now they're going to decide to go to Eichenwald, which, it's not going to get any easier for Rise, considering the majority of the maps right now are very good for a dive. That includes Gibraltar. I would say that includes Nabani and Eichenwald. So I think it's going to be tough for Rise to take this now.
Do you guys think that what we're seeing from Rise Nation is like a similar thing that we saw from Energy, like maybe an inability to play the comps they're trying to make happen as well as their opponents? We certainly played the triple tank, but they certainly play Zarya. Their Roadhog works well, but their dive definitely didn't really seem to work out. Maybe even they didn't have the flow chart nailed down for how to dive or where the focus fire was. Do you find that seeing them?
I don't know. This map lends itself to a lot of different play styles, and I do really favor the dynamic heroes that Tempo can play, like Too Easy coming out with Roadhog, Tracer. They can even run defensive Torbjorn if they want. So Slasher might have a better answer, but
I mean, this map, among others, you really can do a variety of things. I don't expect like too much of a shakeup here from Tempo. They did like to run triple tank on their first point Nimbani defense, so they're willing to, you know, mix things up. And Too Easy, of course, is very, very good Roadhog. So it's not that that's surprising. Really, Rise to me, as we kind of talked about it before the match started, it really is kind of like an identity crisis, similar to NRG. I would rather them play to their strengths than try to kind of like go toe-to-toe with what they just did with Tempo. You know, Midnight is an extremely good Zarya and a very competent diva. Why not run comps around that type of style?
All right, and it looks like they're going to do that, Hex. We're actually going to have Midnight on that Zarya to start things off here. So more of that tanky composition here for Rise to begin.
Midnight, every time he's on Zarya, has to worry you, but the other team's not running a diva. His vanilla Zarya is good. His shields are good, his aiming is good, his gravitons have been subpar. That's been the history of his Zarya play. Retzi taking on Casper early on is great for them. That means that they can push back onto this offense. Offense has to just retreat right now. You can't lose that much damage that early.
Well, Kosi again took such an aggressive position up on high there as well. He almost got caught out by the speed boost coming in from Rise. It's something to really keep an eye on. You see, he's a very good Zenyatta player, and he nails some headshots, but he was up on that bridge, and he almost... I mean, it could have been nasty if Spirit had the hook for him, that's all I'll say. But already, we have the engagement coming back in here from Tempo Storms. Beast Halo drops that shield down. Casper off towards the side here. Now, aggressiveness coming through. Spirit gets the hook on Too Easy, but doesn't finish the kill. Too Easy able to dodge away. Oh, Spirit falls down, and Too Easy gets the kill. That's not good at all.
No, pretty rough there, although they did trade out. Spirit's going to be out of this fight for a little bit, but should be able to get back in time. And now with the trades that they're making late, they should be in just fine position. I think they should try to do what they did a little earlier and try to rotate Dreamcasper up to the high ground. They did it on Kings. They got caught out the first time they tried to do it, but I think that might be their best option with this composition, is to get your divers on maybe the left side and open it up for Casper to take the high ground away as Soldier 76.
Right. Well, Casper going very low early on this fight. This wouldn't be a good start if that happened yet again, but Too Easy finds Retzi. That shuts down the Soldier 76 presence on the side of Rise Nation here, and Teak finds Locke. Oh, it's nice. It's really nice. Retzi and Locke to be the first two to go down, and then Faz very close by. Clinical. Absolute deconstruction. Lose that one player.
When dive works, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful to watch just how well it can work. Of course, they did throw some ults into that, which is fine, but the opening pulse bomb already nails it down, and then you've got all sorts of chaos ensuing as Tig busts out his Dragon Blade. Now the question is, how does Rise Nation get this high ground back? They're just going to kind of straight up push it with all six, and they take out Beast Halo in the process.
Yeah, good start now as well, and you can see a high ground being taken early, very early on. By Rise Nation, but Desert wants to drop down. They know that Kozi's potentially caught out of position here, but he's being protected by Casper. Or is he really being protected? No. Casper gets mashed up against the wall there. Kozi actually gets Faz, and now he's going to be 1v2ing. He gets put to sleep, unfortunately, but he almost had Locke there. Locke had to back away and wait for Deseret to try and help him out. And now Too Easy can really threaten. The Pulse Bomb didn't land, though, so Rise, despite being fairly aggressive and somewhat split on that first fight, have actually managed to maintain position.
Well, Beast Halo just popped his Primal Rage to escape. Now he's going to get back in, but it doesn't matter. That's an ult they will not have up. I wonder if he's thinking about switching or something like that, because he popped Primal to go back to spawn. They're going to bust out a Blade and Transcendence, too. Tempo's throwing a lot into this already lost fight, in my opinion.
Oh, and that classic Spirit Reaper is back. It's been so long since I've seen it. He gets into the fight. He's done so much damage, he already has his Death Blossom available. Casper up on top of the payload, though, is going to at least get himself the tactical visor. Retzi from above as well. Can't do much more but try and charge his next one up. Not looking for too much more other than that. Well, let's see how this Reaper goes. I'm very interested to see how it plays out as Retzi just got smashed by Beast Halo.
Okay, so this makes a little more sense that they kept throwing stuff into fights that were already lost because they just really had the spawn advantage, and they knew that if they could just snowball enough that eventually they'd be in the spot they are now. So maybe a little incorrect read on my part, but they were throwing a lot of stuff just right outside their spawn, now having a hard time getting out, and again, Too Easy finds the opening pulse bomb kill.
Yeah, and that should be the trigger pulled, really. Locke going down, Casper able to find Deseret here. So Retzi's actually going to force out his tactical visor now. We must feel this fight's really important. He's got a good position to use it up on that bridge now, threatening JKW, actually connects there, partially at least with that Helix rocket, but don't want to stop this payload. Midnight has to go now, must go now. Faz getting taken very low. It's going to be a Soundberry here on the side of Tempo Storm to keep them alive, and maybe not even necessary this area at this point. The Beast Halo got quite grenaded. Spirit now jumps in, and we all know what this dance is. Death Blossom is not going to actually get any kills, but does a lot of damage over that fight. This is going to force Too Easy and Kozzy especially to put himself in a very risky, dangerous position, and he goes down to Ritzy as a result.
Well, see, now the spawns have changed position here, that it's going to be Rise Nation with the spawn advantage, so these trade-out fights will favor them. However, this Tempo team is so scrappy. JKW's been alive far longer than he deserved to be, and it buys enough time for Beast Halo to come back in, and this grab's going to come out. They need to clean it up, but still, they pop Primal Rage through it. Casper gets Visor. This is a scrappy Tempo team, and they're going to get second point.
Yeah, because I tell you what happened there. JKW almost backcapped this point. There were 3 players on the side of Rise Nation too far forward, and in that chaos, Dream Casper just sets up on the bridge and gets a sick tack visor while Beast Halo uses his Primal Rage. So that's Tempo Storm actually understanding the chaos a little bit better. They were born by it, molded by it, whatever, but they use that to their advantage there as well, and the fact that Rise are split.
You can't just run your way through a Bane reference, man. You gotta commit to it next time. That's insulting. Transcendence will come out early, though, as they do trade back and forth. Lock and Tig will go down. Both Winstons now out of the fight as a late sound barrier comes in for the side of Rise Nation. Still trying to work on their target selection. It seems like they're all fighting different heroes at once. Too Easy alive, but only for the moment. Rise will restabilize on their D.
Yeah, Too Easy just getting a little bit of extra damage there. I'm not sure if he had his Pulse Bomb before that little stall or not. But he drops down on the point, and he'll be able to get back. So it's fine for Tracers sometimes to overstay their welcome or stall longer because they just triple dash back and they're basically with the team, especially on a setup like this. So that's fine. The Pulse Bomb was going to be there, but Too Easy switches, despite having that one, goes over towards the Roadhog here now, as we see Spirit actually off the Reaper, now to the Genji with that Dragon Blade. Desro Reinhardt, of course, in this area. And there it is. Ritzy finds Casper. Second time this game. That's going to be the second fight won off that.
Yeah, Ritzy will get the last couple of kills and still have to go back to the drawing board. The interesting thing to me is that Faz has switched over to Zenyatta, and I've watched Rise since their birth as a team, and I don't think I've ever seen him play anything except Lucio in a competitive game. So Zenyatta it is now.
Hey, it might be a direct response to seeing that Too Easy's switched over towards a Roadhog and Tig is switched off to the Genji Desire. So it's like, okay, these guys, maybe they're just clutching for straws, Tempo Storm. They want to go for 3 tanks here, but we just don't see it from them at all. This isn't their map pick. Bear that in mind. So, I mean, Discord up against this is totally good. Faz doing what needs to be done. Graviton, so that's going to hurt. Spirit's just going to cut through that one like hot knife through butter. It's just that easy. Retsy's there with the damage. Beast Halo's caught out. And Tempo Storm with a different look. This triple tank not yielding so many results yet, and they've only got a minute and 10 seconds to get it done.
It's because of the map, but I think that's why Rise Nation has chosen both of these maps, as they're both better for these kind of deathball-y, tank-heavy compositions, especially first and last, maybe not so much second on Eichenwald, and now they're forcing Tempo Storm into play a composition that they're probably not as practiced on.
Yeah, that seems to be the case early on anyway. We'll see if that remains to be the issue. Too Easy now on that trace. So Casper obviously does have that tactical visor. He pops his in response. Nano Boost is going to be there. Ritzy does get Dream Casper again. He shuts down the other 76, but still Rise Nation at a man disadvantage. Still press forward. They've got no other choice. Tig gets close up here. The Graviton comes in. Too Easy needs to get in on this, but there's no Pulse Bomb available. Just solid damage. He and Tig combining really nicely. Beast Taylor gets the charge on Desro up against the wall, and the payload is rolling through here. Desro's going to have an ultimate. That Earth Shatter could stop this right now, but Beast Halo has one of his own.
Even the shield battles that you don't see very often anymore are so important. The reason they got cleaned up through that Graviton is because he had to drop the shield. There was no health left on it. He had to charge out, left them all extremely exposed. Desperation time, but most of Rise Nation now back alive on this point, 1.5 meters away.
Oh, the Reinhardt game, mind games are going thick and fast right now. Beast Halo and Desro just waiting for each other to drop their shields. Casper's up on the high ground and got himself the Nano Boost here, not attack visor, and there go the Earth Shatters. Interesting interaction there. I'll leave it at that. Beast Halo has to charge out of the fight because Faz is keeping his team healed up here. The Zenyatta's working out for Faz. Clearly he can play more than one hero. Good to know. And that's going to be the cleanup. Spirit got himself a Dragon Blade. There's a Graviton for good measure. Too Easy just has to sit and watch as the payload falls just short of the end of the map.
Spirit's Genji has been really important for this team because I do not believe you can compete at any level of Overwatch if your team cannot run a good Genji, or at least a serviceable Genji. So the fact that Spirit's been able to pick that up on top of his Roadhog, and, you know, when Reaper's out of the meta, where Reaper main's got to find a new home.
They tried some wonky stuff, Tempo did. They had too easy swapping between the Hog and the Tracer at the end. I think that they were smart to swap up to that like tank heavy Roadhog Zarya that they haven't really shown much of. They even ran Reinhardt too, and it wound up paying off for them. I think at the end though it was 1.5 meters away, so they can live with that. I mean, that's kind of a win in my book, just because capping Eichenwald is notoriously hard.
Yeah, like if they hadn't won one fight at the very end, it would have been pretty rough on tempo. But because they got to the very end of the map anyway, it's not such a bad thing, especially with the new rules of how payload works, that they weren't able to cap all the way. I'd say they should be pretty pleased with themselves.
So Uber, I have a really important question for you. Do you see outside like the very first offensive spawn, there's something written in German? What's that say?
Hold on. Right outside like the first point.
Yeah, it's like what the building is called.
Gute Bäckerei. That one.
No, it's like Brauerei Mittelsklug.
Attackers.
You see, that's why I wanted you to come over here, because I don't want to embarrass myself here.
Well, Brauerei is just a brewery, right? So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it's just probably just the name of it. I can't see it, so it feels. Oh, up there. Yeah. Mittagskrug is like lunchtime, and I can't remember what Krug is. So it's like, I guess, like a lunch bar. Krug. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, that's what it is. It's just the name of like a
German with Uber.
brew house. My German sucks, dude. Mate, sucks. It's really bad. But I know words. I just can't use that word. Anyway, I've used too many words, and we're already into the game, so that's also a bad thing about knowing words. It is going to be a bit more of that aggressive dive comp here for Rise Nation, though, Hex. So let's see how this plays out. They've got the 76, they've got the Genji, and even bringing Locke this time on a Zenyatta and not the Ana.
Yeah, because you want to run the Lucio, and Faz is definitely their Lucio main. So far, just teams poking back and forth. Rise taking a lot of poke, and that poke will cause Desro and Midnight, and that's over. That's over. They ate too much before they decided.
Oh my god, that was filthy. The amount of damage being done there as well. You can see the Casper too easy Teak already halfway to the ultimates, even Beast Halo in a similar position. That's pretty filthy. I'd probably hang around for an extra beer at the Bowery after that one.
They want to go back to spawn. They were not quite ready. Have those 2-beer lunches, and now they're getting ready to go back in again. There's just been a lot of like little chippy entry damage coming in that makes all these targets so much softer.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, the chip damage is pretty good. Desro is the first to go. He got focused down. Faz is desperately trying to stay alive there around this fight and trying to jump back, but Too Easy is in there again. 2 kills for him. Even JKW contributes. So despite losing Dream Casper here, it's not the end of the world. He can just sprint back to the point. It was such a convincing fight that Spirit is trying to play forward, but the rest of his team's not there. He has to dash back through Too Easy and get back to safety.
Well, that's a nice kill very late from Locke to take out his opposing number, because that means they're going to be down their own Zenyatta, though Faz will fall. One support down for each side of this team, and Rise is in a very dangerous spot of just straight out getting snowballed now, because they've lost all these fights so decisively that they're going to be at such an ultimate disadvantage, and this is going just worse and worse for Rise.
Too Easy on equal ping is Pog champ as heck. Like, first of all, he makes it a 5v5 by picking up Locke. Then he finds Faz, and he also kills Spirit in that fight. Like, oh, it was Midnight, sorry. So he killed both supports and the Soldier 76 on his own. It's just stupid. Just stupid, man.
Switches will come in for Rise Nation, perhaps a little bit too late, but if you're going to switch to Azari, you better do it with 2 minutes left. That is the switch they make. They also put Retzi onto 76 instead, so no Tracer in the mix for them. A Sound Barrier comes out defensively to counter the Transcendence coming in offensively. Bloodless thus far.
All right, well, Locke's going to get that Transcendence off, but it doesn't really seem to have mattered too much. This time it's Tiku who steps up to the plate, finds Spirit and Desro, and then Casper gets involved. He had the attack visor there. This time, he finally wins out that 1v1 against Retzi, who, to be fair, has had his number for the most of this map. This is looking really bad for Rise Nation. We talked about Snowball. Those ultimates were really important in that fight.
It's not just that they're losing fights, it's that they're losing them this badly. If you can get a couple of kills, you can maybe start snowballing just with your spawn advantage on Eichenwald. Maybe get someone in there and start getting, but they're going to be up against it here. Now, they do have ultimates of their own, so perhaps this should be the one window for them. Only a little over a minute left.
Yeah, Too Easy missed his pulse bomb at the start of that fight, and Beast Halo almost got way too caught out. This Transcendence is well timed, but it may not be enough. It's a 5v5 right now with the fight, but Spirit here is going to dash through. Oh, he catches Tick. He wasn't even trying to dash through, but I think he was going for Cosy, and he got them both. Okay. Nicely done. The ultimates were there for Rise Nation, to be fair, in that fight. Too Easy didn't have the same performance he'd had in previous fights. He didn't get any picks. He actually had to retreat pretty quickly. And Beast Halo used his jump at the start of the fight to get back to his team. Didn't have it when he really needed to re-engage. So that's rough.
Yeah, sometimes the stars align, sometimes the bodies align for a Genji, and he's just able to just completely wrap them up in a hallway with the dash through. His beautiful work from him. Lose Desro early here. I think they should back out, wait for the next fight, because Midnight will have grab. Yeah, you can't fight anymore. Both tanks.
No. And we've seen just how good we've just seen how good Tempo Storm are at snowballing that one-man advantage. It just has to be one man and they're going to win the fight automatically. Sometimes they start a fight at 6v5, they don't lose anyone else. That's sick as a defending team to have such a clean performance by just getting that early pick, right? So Tick's going to try and back away a little bit. Tuis is playing very far forward. He's a re-engage. Beast Halo goes in, but his shield doesn't last very long, and that's dangerous now as the attack visor is going to come across. Retzi finds Beast Halo here, but it's Casper really trying to lay down the damage lock, though. He's going to get in there with a Transcendence, prevents the Soldier 76 from really getting too much done. He gets caught out. He actually kills himself with his own pulse, with his own Helix rocket, but Tuis gets 2 kills with that pulse bomb.
Too Easy is just putting this team on his back right now, but despite getting the 2 kills late, there's not enough presence on the cart. They should be taking the free push that they're going to get momentarily. Beast Halo drops himself into a 1v4. He's going to get discorded and probably killed in short order.
Okay, there was a reason for that. Yeah, it was actually, he technically had a free stall because he actually had his jump still. He just dropped off the edge. But before he could use his jump pack, he got focused out. He maybe forgotten that the Discord orb is a thing and it's hard to stay alive.
Yeah. So now the free push does come in. They get it around. This choke don't necessarily have to fight for high ground anymore, which isn't Ryze's biggest strength anyway. Winston's counter dive lock able to take down Too Easy, who's been an enormous threat. This fight starts off great for Ryze.
He's getting nullified pretty hard the last couple of fights. The Transcendence is pretty good there, and Desiree gets Cosy off the edge. That's nice. That's worthwhile. He tried to get him off in the first place, but the Graviton actually held him in place. It kind of worked against him, but still, this is working out now. Too Easy on the payload, on his own. Not an ideal combination, really. Definitely not things you want in the same phrase. And it's going to be the payload getting across the line unless Big Taylor gets there. No. A back away. And now Ryze building up a head of steam.
My ultimate is charging.
Ryze looking good so far, especially on the second half of things. I think there were some mistakes there, perhaps a little bit of hubris entering in for Tempo Storm as they were just mollywhopping Ryze Nation earlier, but now they've gotten themselves in odd positions. Too Easy, instead of being the killer of some of these early fights, has killed these fights by dying early.
Yeah, it's happened again. That's not good. I mean, it's pretty tough actually to try and find decent flanking routes as Tracer sometimes on this last point. You've only really got the one. And the Transcendence from Locke again. Good timing on that one. The last time he had it, they won the fight. Looks like it's going to be true to form yet again. Spirit with the Dragon Blade, Renta with Attack Visor. A lot of ultimates being used there, but still, it was quite a clean fight. Everyone's still alive, and now it's going to be almost immediately into stall for Tempo Storm.
It's a tale of two halves. This has looked like a completely different team. Remember, they only have to finish out the map. Yet again, what is Cozy doing? I didn't see exactly where he was, but I have to imagine he was peeking and just got shuriken down, and that's going to be rough. They have to fight this 4v6 now.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Losing Casper, now JKW, and it should be the snowball, right? Even a team like Ryze Nation, who's maybe not crazy about dive comp, should be able to make this one happen. That was really convincing finish, but I really think that something happened there with Tempo mid-round. They had such a sick first point hold, and they fell apart. Analysts talk to me. This is disappointing to see them capitulate so heavily.
So the Winston play was very polarizing between the two teams. Desro actually forced the Transcendence out of Cozy on the first point and then wound up like bouncing him around, so he actually didn't heal at all because he wound up getting just pummeled into a wall the entire duration. And then Beast Halo winds up taking his Primal Rage into the enemy spawn. The tank kind of fell apart on this side, I would say, towards the end, and Retzi definitely turned up. They got Midnight off the 76, put Retzi on it, and then Retzi and Locke were able to just shut down Too Easy from point 2 on.
Tempo was doing such a good job of focusing Desro to start off the first point. It was looking like that Tempo was going to hold on the first point. But then, as you mentioned, Zen kind of got stuck in a corner. Then you had, I think, Spirit got a strike through, killing Tig by accident. And that really helped them. Then they kind of snowball through the rest of the map. Some questionable decision making at the end. Too Easy. It went big to begin with and then overextended at the end of the map. And you know, it's pretty difficult to win these divers dive in 5-on-6 situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's something that I'm really glad you notified. What you brought up is that with a dive comp, if you lose one of those DPSs early in the fight, you're going to get wrecked. First, it was Dream Casper, and that wasn't too bad because Too Easy was covering up for that and getting like these two-man pulse bombs. They're just going absolutely ham. But then Too Easy's getting picked off first in these fights, and then Casper's getting killed by Retzi as he often was, and it was going very, very south very quickly for Tempo Storm. I mean, it's kind of volatile style. You very much got to ride the lightning in this kind of dive comp with this very aggressive, way of playing the game when you're going to use that Tracer so aggressively, and you're going to, even use your Winston on like a 2-man defensive dive without the rest of your team even there. So, I mean, it has its pitfalls, I guess.
Good news for Tempo is that they get to pick the next map. They're going to go to Gibraltar. They look pretty good against NRG earlier in the day. We've seen Rogue work wonders on this map in terms of holding close on defense with dive comps. This is definitely the map they want to have with the style that they've been running for today.
That said, though, I would say that this map is pretty comparable to Eichenwald in the way that it plays out, and they did just lose that and win the map that they weren't supposed to. So, might come back to bite them. I don't know. I probably would have went somewhere safer, maybe taking it to a control map or something.
I mean, I'm still rather surprised that Rise has been wanting to go up against and kind of mirroring these comps along the way than doing some switches. I thought that Rise would have wanted to go tank heavy to start off their offenses. They've had pretty solid defenses, Rise, to begin, both Kings Row and Eichenwald. The Roadhog has worked quite well. I mean, we've seen Korean teams. I think Kongdu played Rogue, and they played a lot of Hog, a lot of Diva, a lot of Winston. We haven't seen Diva come out at all in this series. I think that hero is still being severely overlooked. It's probably the best off-tank right now. I mean, I think Hog's lost a little bit of prominence just because the rise of Tracer and feeding ults and all that. And Zarya has gotten nerfed like 15 times by now, so she's still really, really good, but just not as good. And Diva seems like the best off tanks, but still not used too much.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not relying more on the Nano Spirit, like Spirit's Genji in general. They haven't been running a lot of Ana, and a lot of teams just haven't. They've been preferring the Zen for the damage, but I think Spirit's been coming up pretty huge for them as the series went on, and you definitely want that in your back pocket because I think Red Sea 76 can kind of play by itself anyway.
Well, on that note, we're going to see pretty similar composition here, except Midnight on the Diva here. So obviously the verticality of this map offers is enough to provoke the switch towards the Diva instead of the Zarya. Thank God, Zarya on vertical maps is ridiculous. Here we go. Hex is going to start off with Beast Taylor jumping in, dropping a shield, then properly backing up.
Well, both Winstons go down. Casper is on the Widowmaker. This is where we saw him do a lot of work early in the day against NRG, but Retzi makes short work of him combined with Spirit. So far the aggressive defense is good. The target focus and the shot calling does look to be there right now, as they're going to back out a little bit, but could have gone worse for the defense. I think they're going to take their small win and back out a little bit, but another kill, they could come back.
Spirit taking down Tick there as well. This is going to make things very slow for Tempo Storm. They're going to have to go for a complete reset here. There's no point Beast really jumping in at this stage, especially given that 2Easy's effectiveness is going to be limited now, with Midnight actually sort of babysitting Desro and adding a little bit more protection on top of those shields. Beast is going to go in though, and Tig is also right there behind Midnight, just trying to work him down, but in the corner was pressured 2Easy, managed to at least get the recall back out, and Tig finds Desro. A little bit of extra damage to get him across the line, but it's traded out. Midnight, so much damage close up against Beast Taylor, but eventually gets desuited, and despite being desuited, still kills JKW. Get wrecked. Spirit gets a Dragon Blade and kills Cozzy 2Easy pretty comfortably over that payload. He's still pushing it though. Tick is there, but still, it is nice little turnaround.
Extremely back and forth between both those teams, but now it should favor Rise a little bit. They're going to have a lot of ults up, and they should be able to reinforce rather quickly as the cart does roll backwards through car wash. So they're in a good enough position that they can choose which high grounds they want to take. They're finally on these high ground tanks, which I think is so important on Gibraltar, such a vertical map. So far, no initiation from Tempo Storm, but Beast could be jumping any moment. Casper's on this Roadhog. I think it's a good switch.
Yeah, he gets the hook in towards Desro pretty much straight away, and the self-destruct being plopped down right in the middle causes an immediate disengage, but more importantly, an immediate split. Beast Taylor was caught off on the right-hand side. Retzi had an easy pick-off against him, and now this is a four-man squad of Tempo Storm trying to operate around this car wash. It's going to be very hard. Tig has to dash out. It's not going to be happening.
I think these Winstons have some sort of suicide pact together because they've been dying in pairs every single time. When one goes down, so must the other. The tribe does fall, and it's been difficult for the offense to come in when they lose their main tank like that.
Oh, look, sound barrier coming out, and there's actually a big fight happening in the server room at the moment. Tig and 2Easy were trying to get rid of the supports and Retzi, but it doesn't quite work out. Retzi fights 2Easy, Casper elsewhere in the fight finds Faz, and now that's the whole hog going to come out from him. So this is going to be really nice for Tempo to get a bit of breathing room, especially combined with that Primal Rage. That's a lot of displacement, and that allows those two tanks to have some free time on the payload themselves. Beast Halo tries to cut Desro off at the quick by just jumping up and catching him, and Tig's going to be there. So nice turnaround. Those tank ults were really critical in that last stage of the fight.
They definitely did. I have never seen this much Winston v. Winston. Usually they're just jumping past each other like ships in the night, but it has been just gorilla on gorilla crime. This is a great push here for Tempo Storm. Of course, the momentum in Gibraltar, all that much more important as they already take the high ground away. And defensively, you'd like to be able to win one fight and take shuttle back. That is where most of these fights will revolve around. And the hook actually brings them up to high ground. So it's been pretty scrappy right now, but I think Rise has the tools to be able to bring this back if they can just execute.
Yeah, losing Lock, though, I mean, that's kind of one of the more important parts of that particular conundrum. Self-destruct got to come over the top, and that's perfect. Tick had no way to escape that. He didn't have a dash away, no chance. But Retzi falls to Casper, who gets hooked into the fight now. Halo's on the payload. He's dealing with Midnight, but Midnight had a Discord orb on him, so even, someone like Beast Halo, his damage output can get it done. Too Easy was also there. He quickly gets by a grenade and is forced to back away, and Spirit has to filter himself into this fight with the Dragon Blade and the Nano Boost, but the whole hog shuts him down completely.
Yeah, Casper's hog has been great, and his whole hogs especially, you see right there, it was actually probably what won them the first point, now going to get them second pretty easily. I thought that was ill-advised to even try to come back in on that. They were in bad position. Rise Nation was to try to get back here. Now they find themselves all at last on the spawn and lost. It might as well be too, because I'm actually having a difficult time tracking the players of Rise Nation. They've been all over the map.
Yeah, it's a real mess. I mean, to be fair, if Rise don't go for that last fight, they give up the point for free, and then they're stuck standing outside of the hangar door like stunned mullets. So I guess it's quite difficult, but Spirit went through one of the side doors with a Dragon Blade, had no idea what was going to be on the other side, and just got wrecked. So, yeah, definitely not an ideal way of going about that fight. Now, you can see the sound barrier coming out here. Desmo is essentially on his own, very deep in enemy territory, and Kozi has a lot of freedom up on this high ground here just to lay damage down. I've got to give credit where it's due here. Tempo Storm have really set up well for this fight, despite being pressured heavily at every turn by Rise Nation, who are very split. They're all over the place now. We see the primal range being used by Desmo just to stay alive.
Well, Kazi does have this Transcendence to try to close it out, and there's really nothing left for Rise Nation here. They have to find a miracle. That might be it, actually. Retzi taking out Casper has been so influential throughout this game, is a good start for them. And they force out the Transcendence, which gets nothing done during its duration. Now it's just time, and yeah, Rise will clean it up off the back of that very early kill.
Desmo did a really good job there, keeping both Tig and Beast Halo busy and staying alive himself, waiting for his DPS dealers to come in and actually make the damage happen. That's very important. We can take a breath, though, hopefully for a moment and assess the ultimate situation between these two, because it's very interesting. This isn't going to be the fight, but the next fight, we're going to see some critical ultimates come up for especially the DPS players here. But there's a whole lot for Casper. That's been such an important part here of the play for Tempo in these last fights.
It's such a great closeout, too, that it will just keep them in spawn. He's going to open with it, though. Desro does fall, but a nice cleanup immediately will cut that whole hog short as Casper falls shortly after. Tanks trading out with each other. The Transcend forced to pop, but it is Spirit with the Dragon Blade who takes out 3 and ends this fight.
Yeah, really nice, especially when there's no Roadhog present. The problem is, when you do use that whole hog to open up a fight, you're very immobile, right? You just sort of stand there and churn away. And Zenyatta is going to love to pick you apart from outside the range of that whole hog and just hammer you with a Discord orb. And then, no Roadhog? Oh, I might just Dragon Blade in and get some kills. Nice turnaround there, and good work by Rise to adapt.
Yeah, I agree with you. Unless you have the perfect angle, using whole hog to start a fight is not something you see very often of. It's good to react to something or to close out a fight, but there's a reason you don't see it like that. You can just focus down the hog. He doesn't have any protection while he's doing it or anything like that. The Pulse Bomb will come in, but it gets bubbled out of a blade, I think, was dropped. I don't know what happened there. There might have been some sort of refund.
Basically, Tick was trying to pop the bubble on Midnight with the Pulse Bomb on him, and he failed to do that. And then as soon as he pulled the Dragon Blade out, he got killed by Desro standing literally behind him, just zapping away. So I think they were trying to combine damage towards that Zarya. It just didn't work. The Zarya bubble outlasted it all, and now Midnight's laughing all the way to the bank because he's got a Graviton Surge ready to go.
Well, it is going to be Midnight, who we've detailed his struggles. One moment. Do need to pause, I think. I think that's what that single P means. Better safe than sorry, I suppose.
Yeah, you are right. Good work, Admin Hex. You're on the
board. Official StarCraft rules are PP. If you write PPP, you get disqualified.
Banned.
That's BM. Okay. Fair enough. We're going to be back in the game in just a second here. So, yeah. I mean, we're interested in see what Midnight can do. He can really stall this out. In fact, a good Graviton can win the whole thing here. There's only really defensive ultimates and maybe a Dragon Blade going to be coming up in the near future here for Tempo, and they don't have that much time.
Yeah, they're very spread out right now, too, the offense is. It's only Beast Halo up front, and it's happened way too often that you see him all alone out there. However, Retzi goes down early to this fight to a headshot from JKW. The grab comes in post-sound barrier, but so many support ults, they're not going to get anything through this.
Yeah, sick transcendence by Costa. He's been very on point with those, I have to admit. He's also managed to stay alive. Locke now has to use his, but it's for a 5-man squad, and actually Spirit can't even benefit from that. He was too far away. Too Easy goes in, and guess what? Pulse bombs don't give a crap about transcendence. Too Easy knew that as well. He knew we could pick Faz out from the mix. 4 kills in that fight for Too Easy. He's had his ups and he's had his downs, but I tell you what, when Tempo needed it, Too Easy was there and he was firing.
Score.
Well,
I mean, we've talked about it so far in this series. Either Too Easy has gone off, gotten 3-4 kills with or without ults, or he overextends and dies. I mean, you would think that Rise would have the advantage in that situation. Really, Tempo only gets 1 shot at the end, and he's able to make it work to close out the map.
are you saying that Too Easy can be an inconsistent player slasher? Is that what you're saying? Are you on record?
You know, I will say, really, for the majority of games that we've seen him, he has been more consistent than not so far today.
He's hungry.
Fair enough.
He's got that NA blood in him now. He's drinking the North American water, living in California.
Or like North American tears at this stage. He is hungry though. Like he is such like, mate, I tell you what, it's very hard to tell this guy. He needs to eat more as well. I know he needs to look after his wrists as well, because I know he has to wear a brace for those. But he tells me he goes to the gym all the time, but then he doesn't eat anything. He eats like yogurt or something.
Where's my team?
Yeah. Pretty
You know, part of this really is for him to still prove himself. I mean, he can show everyone that Too Easy was not the problem on FaZe.
I don't think he's ever been the problem, but he is the problem.
Focus on the task.
He just let himself become a meme though. I'm sorry. Like I think the whole point of it being meme is he was maybe not actually the problem, but he let it get to him. I remember when he lost that 1v1 tournament and me and Flame dragged him into Flame's Discord and interviewed him. Like it's just he's a guy that shows emotion, right? And that makes you very vulnerable on the internet, gentlemen. That's why it exists as a meme.
Okay, I want to talk about the offense for a second. Why did Casper stay on the Widow for so long, and then how did the Roadhog work for so long? Because honestly, he switches to Roadhog, he doesn't die until they get to the very last point, but he had no cover, and they were running Zenyatta into it. I feel like he should have been dead, and they got away with murder getting 0.1 and 0.2 with that Roadhog.
He did a very good job of getting the hooks that he needed to on Desro. It's either Hog will get the hooks and kill the Winston, making sure that there's no space opened up, or he just dies instantly. And luckily for him, he did the former.
Well, we're in, gentlemen. We're starting this one off here, and we're going to see Jim Casper on that Soldier 76 now up in the backside. It's, again, that Winston head-to-head battle. Desro just walks inside the shield. He knows he wins. He's got a Harmony Orb, so he's going to back away. Cozzy now needs to give one to his Winston, but Locke found Too Easy in the meantime, and Spirit has unfettered access to the back line, and that means going after one after another. Looking pretty good so far with Cozzy having fallen down, and JKW, I would say, mildly out of position, gets picked up by Desro.
Faz has done 3 times as many heroes as I've ever seen him play before today, as he's going to be on the Mercy instead, really trying to round out his pool. Has worked out very well for them. He's keeping everyone alive, going with his damage-boosted Widowmaker. Retzi is a god-tier, just natural hit-scan talent, so even though he doesn't run as much Widow as some other players, he has the ability to do so.
This is a really sick first fight here now as well. I mean, Retzi on that Widowmaker. I want to see how it works out now on this point as we start to hit that L-bend. But Midnight falls down to Cozzy. He did a very good job of defending himself and his own backline. And then Cozzy finds Spirit. Yeah, he's pretty sick. Casper on towards Faz, and you can see that Retzi was just caught up in the mix there. That dive, that defensive play coming out from Tempo Storm there made it very, very hard for Retzi to have any room to breathe, let alone shoot.
It's going to be interesting to see what Retzi does. Okay, he's going to stay on the Widow because he had Ultimate up. I assumed Faz would as well, because using Resurrection at 90%, you kind of want to stick on that Mercy and just see what happens. Though Retzi will switch. He did use the optics early on to give them the infrared sight to scout out where the team was. He's going to go to 76 instead. You have to imagine this is Faz's last light on this, well, beautiful Pulse Bomb gets Desert on the in.
Yeah, and there's no point now as well. There's no real, I guess, key to open the door here. You see Dragonblade comes out from Spirit, so they still want to commit to this fight despite losing that one. Yeah, the res would be important, even just for tempo at this stage, but Desro's actually respawned back in and has to walk in. I don't know about that one.
Are they close enough together? I mean, Locke and Spirit coming back into the fight would be good after they got a kill or two, but yeah. Nice res.
Retzi and Spirit come back in. They're not really in a great position actually to start fighting. That's the problem. Where they died, after they got rezzed and the time elapsed, they weren't really in a great position to help their team. But Spirit already gets the D-suit on Casper. Now as they come back in, Teak finds 2 quick kills over that payload and also gets the headshot towards Midnight with the Shuriken. That was really... I was watching from his perspective. That was really sick, clean play from Teak there.
Yeah, it's a 4K. So Faz, as prophesized, off of that Mercy now. I mean, I guess I haven't seen much Mercy today. I keep forgetting her name, but he's going to go back to Lucio. This is going to be just about their last push, though. A little bit shy of 90 seconds remain, and a lot of this will be on Midnight to hit a Pulse Bomb. They've got the DPS ults to be able to win this fight.
Too Easy's also up behind him now. I think he has been spotted out, but he does have that pulse bomb. They need to be very careful of that one. Everyone jumps down to the safety of the bubble, and Locke's going to use that Transcendence now. This could be a little bit awkward because Tempo are very invested in this fight, and the enemy's healing up a lot. But Retzi falls to Tig there. Now it's going to be a self-destruct inside the server room. Awkward positioning, but no one's caught out by it at this stage. Spirit's forced to back away now and try and desperately reflect, but Too Easy and Beast Taylor were there. The damage, hard to block that, and that's a clean finish. Again, this time it's Too Easy that steps up to the plate.
Going to be the last push here for Rise to even extend this map any further and stay in the upper bracket here. Again, they've got the DPS to be able to do it. The problem is these DPS don't necessarily chunk through Transcendence, and Kosi's been so good about staying alive. So Dragon Blade, Attack Buys are going to leave it all on the table here.
Yeah, the only bonus is that you can see that it's going to be hard to get a Transcendence on the entirety of Tempo Storm because of their positioning right now. See, it wasn't there quick enough, and Spirit actually wasn't able to hang. Well, he was able to get Tig. He wasn't able to get healed up. That's what I'm trying to say. Now over on the payload, though, was a quick response. Too Easy found Spirit after the Dragon Blade expired. Midnight's caught out in position, just trying to work around the fringes, but he found Fuzzy with a Pulse Bomb. Castle was just a second too slow to suck that one up there with the defense matrix. But Faz now on overtime on that payload here, he'll eventually get pushed off by Too Easy, getting aggressive in his face. And who's going to be there to step up? I think Retzi has to jump off the high ground onto the payload. He's midair. Makes a crash landing on the payload and was the second too late.